We are back here today with the next episode of Sports Talk here from the Thursday Throwdown. Welcome to the Balls and All streaming podcast here today. As you can see, if you checked out Instagram or Twitter, TikTok, we went with the Werder Bremen, but we doubled up with the Titans cap here, guys. So I appreciate all you all for tuning in right now. We have every selection up on the board here today. We've gone with a Australian game to kick things off here in the AFL finals rounds. We've got St Kilda Saints against the Western Bulldogs. After that, we move on down to kick things off here in the AFL finals rounds. We've got St Kilda Saints against the Western Bulldogs. After that, we move on down. We move on down to the home side of at Weserstadion, Werder Bremen hosting Bielefeld. Then we have Stuttgart hosting Bayer Leverkusen. Then from that we have Leeds Rhinos hosting Wigan at Emerald Headingley. Then we got Leicester hosting West Ham in the EPL. Frölunda hosting Leksand in the SHL. Podolsk hosting Dynamo Riga at Vitesse Ice Palace. Nice little tip here. Dynamo Riga has about 90% of their team on quarantine ban, so they can't actually play. So that might be a little edge for your tips there if anybody's going to go for a pick between Podolsk and Dynamo Riga. We also have the Chicago Bears hosting the Colts at Soldier Field. We have the Bengals hosting the Jags, both teams pretty garbage. Raiders and the Bills, see what we get there at Allegiant Stadium. And then we finish off at Old Traff with United hosting Hotspur. So with that done there, everybody, we are going to be waiting for everybody to get their picks in. I'll go through a couple of the games here before everybody starts to get their picks in. We're looking at the St Kilda Saints here first up against the Western Bulldogs, and this is a real coin flip of a game. The hosts, I wouldn't really say they're the hosts, but all playoff games being played in Queensland, so you have St Kilda against the Bulldogs up north. The Saints, they've got a couple of injuries. The Bulldogs love playing away from home. They have a lot of quick-moving football. This is a very awkward spot for the Saints. This is definitely a game they can win, but they need a lot of, they need a lot of help from their front half of the field, because the front half of the field tends to let them down in big games, and this here is a big game. So with that said, I'm not giving you who my pick is. It's a very tough game, that one. It just depends on who turns up on the day, really. It's a real big coin flip, and I expect to see a good split between the viewer base here. And, we have our first set of picks in, coming in from Aurelius Atlas. He's gone with the Saints. No, you've done that wrong, buddy. You can't have AB, you can't pick two of the first ones. You nupty. You are an absolute nupty there, Atlas. That's a good one. We've already found our wearer of the dunce's hat today. And that's going straight to Mr. Atlas there. You need to change that up to have either C or D from the Chelsea Crystal Palace game. So once you got that pick in, we'll go through again. We go A, C. We got another pick coming in there from Thor. We'll go through both of them. We got A, C. C is Chelsea, not Western Bulldogs there, mate. F, we're looking at Bielefeld over Bremen. Interesting. G, we're going to look at Stuttgart beating Leverkusen, another upset he's gone for here. The I pick is Leeds, another upset. He's picking the Dogs here. Next one is K for Leicester. Yeah. N for Leksand. O for Podolsk. Q for the Bears. S for Cincinnati Bengals. U for the Las Vegas Raiders. And W gets you Manchester United at home. So that's not a bad list of picks you've got there, man. I'm quite happy with the ones you've thrown out there. Have a quick look at Thor's picks, who's got a big capital O there to make a point on the Podolsk side after I told you a little information there, I guess. We're looking at St Kilda. We're rolling into Chelsea, then we're rolling into Bremen. I like that one. F, you've done the same as old mate above. E, F is the same line. You need a G or H, dude. You guys are on fire today. Oi, 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 oi. You're going to have to go and sort them ones out again there. If you're on a phone, that's going to be a bit more difficult for you, mate. EF is on the you needed a G or a H, dude, for Stuttgart or Leverkusen. Good, because it won't count your pick. So you can go and get that one sorted for yourself, mate, and you'll be able to put that one in very quickly, I assume. After that, we said, while you get them done, we'll look at your other ones. We'll skip the... Oh no, you've got H there. You've just taken F twice. Yeah, you've done one too many picks. So you got ACE minus the F, I think, because you wanted Bremen. And then you got H, which is Leverkusen. J, which is the Wigan Warriors, which is the favourite in that one. Then you got L for West Ham. Interesting. It's alright, dude. You don't need to do another pick. You just need to confirm if you want to actually have Bremen if you want Bremen or Bielefeld in your pick. The second that you say which one you want, we can fix that on the back end for you, mate. Bremen, alright, sweet. So we'll take your picks and it's minus the F. So I'm going to roll with the E, which is Bremen. We got all the way down to O, which is Podolsk. Capitalised, we've already spoken about why that one's capitalised for you, I guess. Q is the Bears. I like that pick because I just don't like Philip Rivers at all as a quarterback. He's very, very subpar. He has been his entire career. You've got auto-corrected to the word "the" at the end, but I assume that's J or T for the Jacksonville Jags. Alright, so I'll have to fix that one for you as well, mate. V, which is the Bills. I like that pick. And X for Spur, an upset. Interesting. Very, very interesting. That's some very interesting picks that have come through the board there. Gorsom's coming in here. Gorsom's gone with Western Bulldogs, Chelsea, Bremen, Stuttgart, Wigan, Leicester, Lexans, Dynamo Riga, Bears, Jags, Bills, and United. So there's some very interesting picks you've got there, my man. So you're in the running here to win the $10 gift card. It doesn't matter where you are because we can locate that gift card to the country of your origin. But it's very interesting to see that we have so many spread of picks this week. It's quite nice. Last week it was all pretty one side or the other side of the board. This week it's all pretty even, which is nice to see. So I like a lot of the Podolsk picks, considering though that Riga has a lot of people out injured. Riga for the upset. Riga for the upset is probably not a bad idea. I mean, with everybody backing Podolsk because of all the quarantine listings, injuries won't stop Podolsk's shitness. Yeah, I'll take your word for it, my guy. I'll take your word for it. I just have to quickly sorry guys, I just had to quickly send out a message to some people that are a bit lost in regards to where to come for the pick'ems. A few questions coming through from Instagram as well as our good friends over on TikTok. So we've been doing a bit of fun and games. We are slowly pushing through here, guys. We have how many picks have we got in so far? 1, 2, 3. Got 3 picks, guys. 3 picks. We're looking for a few more. Gone the old Shoop Magoo with a couple of other ones. Well, while we wait for the next one to come through, I'm going to go through and break down the Chelsea FC and Crystal Palace game. We're looking at a very deep Chelsea side that still probably needs some time to gel. The defence is still a mess. I don't rate what they have back there at all. I don't rate Kepa Arrizabalaga as a starting goalkeeper in the Premier League. He makes too many mistakes. And Crystal Palace with Willie Zaha going off, they will capitalise on every single mistake afforded to them. So, with that said, it's going to be a very tough game for Chelsea to win. They are at home. They will get the rub of the green from the refs, which will help them. But you're also talking about a side here that is going to be a bit of a pest in Crystal Palace because they know how to split a defence, and Chelsea's defence is not good. Both teams will definitely see the back of the net here. It's almost a sure thing. Just depends if Timo Werner can find his kicking boots that he had with him at RB Leipzig. He is struggling to find that form, but he should be fine to sort of open himself up here a bit. There's a bit of a weird noise back there. It's like scratching. That was weird. But we are looking here at Frank Lampard trying to get things back on track. He's not a soft coach, or manager, pardon me. So he's going to be a bit of a fun one to watch here. So hopefully he can sort himself out and get back on the winner's track because he's had a couple of rough results. They should have beaten Tottenham in the EFL, but they choked at the end of the line, which he wouldn't have been too happy about because they were the better side throughout most of that game. They just gave up at the end. So it really is much of a muchness there. I think Palace have every chance to win that game as the outsider. Chelsea as well, they have every chance to solidify themselves as a top 4 team, try and get themselves together, find some chemistry, get themselves on the board early, and that will be the big difference maker between both here. And that really needs to happen for Chelsea in order for them to pick up the win here and get back on track. They do have a lot of new people in the team, and that sort of chemistry and gelling between everybody does need to happen. It does take time. I said I'd give them about 8 to 10 games together before I'd actually judge how they're going. And we're almost at that position in time now. But yeah, that's a very touch and go kind of game. It depends which Chelsea you see on the day there. They are a very strong side. They have a lot of talent. They're very young. They're very quick. They like to move the ball fast, but they're also very susceptible to teams that like to break quickly, and that's exactly how Crystal Palace play. So it's going to be a very tough game for Chelsea. It's not going to be a walk in the park. Definitely not going to be a walk in the park, but I'm expecting Crystal Palace to put up a decent fight here at Stamford Bridge. But on the day, the better team always wins. So you have that to think about when you make your picks, those that haven't made their picks yet. So, we've got more picks coming in with capitalisations everywhere there from Ness. We're looking at, she's gone with the ace for the first three. Saints, Chelsea, Bremen. Then she's got HJK, Leverkusen, Wigan and Leicester. Then it's M for Lunda, O Podolsk, T for the Jacksonville Jaguars. R is there for the Colts. I didn't see that one. That's a nice one. So we are looking now at the W, which is Manchester United. So you've got pretty solid picks there, and you've also got the Bills thrown in. Colts lover. Not sure what to say to that, Ness. Hate me, lol. I'm not going to hate you for it. It's your team. You pick them. But yeah, it is a bit of an odd one there. I think the Colts are going to struggle against the Bears, especially with Foles starting, who has a chip on his shoulder. He was able to make that huge comeback win last week against the Falcons, but the Falcons aren't exactly a team to hold a lead. We all know this much. And especially when you've got Matt Ryan there at quarterback, the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. They're always going to struggle. So it is what it is. So we are looking again at the next one, which is Werder Bremen against Bielefeld. Bielefeld is the recently promoted side, but they are travelling to Weserstadion, which is never an easy place to play, no matter what form Werder's in. This is probably a letdown spot for Bremen after their big 3-1 win last week. They got the hat-trick from, I can't remember his name at the moment, it'll come to me by the end of the show, I guarantee it. You got the nice hat-trick that included 1 penalty and 2 real screamer shots. So he's in form now, which is good. I'd like to see a bit more from Josh Morgan up front. We need to see a bit more classic Davy Klaassen in the midfield, not this slow, run-down kind of Davy Klaassen that's there at the moment. If you get a bit more action out of Davy Klaassen, then this is going to be a pretty easy game for Bremen. They just need to get better and more consistent in the midfield. Their midfield is their weak spot right now. I'd like to see a bit more from Chong off the bench. I think the Manchester United loanee will come into his own by the end of the season. He'll be a big influence for Bremen here, whether or not they finish mid-table or not. If he can push himself to find good legs, then he will be very, very hard to stop by the end of the season. And Bremen will be a contender for maybe a lower spot, say maybe 7th to 6th. Would probably be about their maximum that Bremen can do if they can string a few wins together now and build that confidence, because they're a very confidence-based team. If they can't do that, then they'll fall behind and be back in that relegation duel that they sort of somehow magically survived last season. But yeah, is what it is, chat. It comes and it goes, form. Happens to every team. Now, with that said, we're moving on to Stuttgart against Leverkusen. I've thrown this one in here because I think this is a very 50-50 kind of game in the Bundesliga, where I think Werder Bremen and Bielefeld leans more towards Bremen. What I will actually do is I'll throw a couple of my picks up already that we've gone through. So my first pick that I've got on the board is the St Kilda Saints. I thought that was a very coin flippy kind of game, and when it's a coin flippy kind of game, you always take the one that's over $2 in odds, and that's the Saints right now. After that, I have gone into Werder Bremen as well as Chelsea, so I've done the ace there as well, like a lot of people. It's a very fun spot to be. The ace is a very interesting run of games. Jeremy Maines come in with his picks. He's gone the ace as well, into the H, which is Leverkusen, into the J, which is Wigan, K, which is Leicester, N, which is Lexans, O, which is Podolsk, Q, which is the Bears, S, which is Bengals. Nice pick. I think that's going to be a very 50-50 game there too. U, we've got the Raiders. Ooh, big upset there, we're thinking. At Allegiant Stadium, it's always possible. And then you roll out with Manchester United at the end there. So that's not a bad set of picks there. Not at all, but we're really here just looking at the Stuttgart-Leverkusen game here, and as I said, I think this is a very 50-50 kind of game in the post-Kai Havertz era. Not that they don't have a talented side. They do have quite the talented side, but we are thinking more along the lines of how they can recover that lost talent in the middle of the field. They were able to pull off the big draw last week against RB Leipzig, but this is also the RB Leipzig in the post-Timo Werner era. And when you're looking at Leverkusen, they managed to pick up the big signing of Patrick Schick to fill in the role of Kai Havertz. They always had a Ranguiz that sort of slots in behind him in the attacking midfield role. Bellarabi with the speed and Diaby down the flanks. They have got decent speed and quickness down there. I don't really rate Diaby as a ball mover or a ball, I'd say more of a possession crossing kind of guy. They're thinking more along the lines of Wirtz doing a bit more action from the middle of the field in the 4-3-3 that they normally like to play. But yeah, we are thinking here that Leverkusen might be a bit too much in skill for Stuttgart. Stuttgart is freshly promoted. They don't really have the depth of a team that you would like to see. We're thinking that Stuttgart, who are coming off a 2-3 loss to Freiburg, they were able to score. They were able to maintain most of the ball too. They had, I think, 60% possession. They shot 22 times. They can only get 7 of them on goal, and 2 of them went in the back of the net. So the biggest player you've got to worry about here for Stuttgart is Waman Gituka. He's a blitzer on the outside of the field. Probably the best player they have. Him and maybe Didavi. Mangala's also not bad, but I would rate Waman Gituka as better than Mangala. So you do have a talented midfield there, but Leverkusen, I think, just have a bit too much more to offer, and that's why Leverkusen has gotten my pick this week. So we've gotten, how many picks have we got in? We are missing, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 picks in here, guys. If anybody's out there that wants to throw their pick in, feel free. I'm happy to break it down. Always happy to break down somebody's picks. So the next one on the list is going to be the Leeds Rhinos and the Wigan Warriors. Leeds are not very Houston to get upset. It's not really an upset there, man, when they're on the road, but I see what you're saying. But we're talking about Stuttgart here, not Stuttgart, we're looking at Leeds Rhinos against Wigan Warriors. Wigan Warriors is the far more accomplished side out of the two. I believe that by this time that this game kicks off, that you're looking probably around $1.30 for Wigan Warriors to win this one. I think they'll be tight favourites. They're better side, better half play, better wing play, better defence, heavier forward pack. When you have all those things in your favour in a game of rugby, it's generally hard for you to lose. That's why I've gone with the Wigan Warriors here. The Wigan Warriors are my pick for this one. Don't really want to have to break it down too much further for everybody. It's pretty straightforward for me. To be fair, I think that's where it's going. And yeah, guys, that's just the pick for me there. So I'm going to move into the next one, which is Leicester City hosting West Ham at King Power. And I don't know how you can pick West Ham here. West Ham are on the verge of losing Declan Rice, which is their best defender. They don't really have anybody who can score outside of Antonio. Their midfield is kind of weak. They don't really have much speed, where Leicester seem to get 400 penalties a game, and they have Jamie Vardy, who's just on fire right now. They're also getting really good midfield play out of, I have his name, what is it? Give me a second here, guys. I've got his name written down somewhere. I mean, they are leading the league, so Yuri Tielemans, that's the one. I liked Yuri Tielemans when he was playing for Anderlecht, and I think that was a really great signing for Leicester there. I think he's a very hard midfielder to break down. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of technicality. He's a very good passer of the ball. The 5-4-1 look that Leicester like to go for as well doesn't really match up very well for West Ham, who play a different size, different style of football. And I think Mendy, Tielemans, Vardy, Amadi, Evans, as well as Justin sometimes, it's just going to be too much for West Ham. They're going to get overwhelmed. I mean, you can't really... You've got to find a way to beat Kasper Schmeichel too, and Kasper Schmeichel is not exactly, somebody who gets beaten very often. He's a top goalkeeper and a master of his art, just like his old man was. And that's coming from somebody who's not a United fan. But we are locking in Leicester City here. It's very hard to see a matchup where they don't at least draw that. West Ham's not a great side. I just don't really like their midfield. I think the midfield is a bit disappointing from them. So yeah, that's where my logic is there. Then we're going to move into Frölunda. And Frölunda for me is, they're one of the best sides in the SHL. Leksands normally one of the worst, but they're playing pretty well at the moment. Form is a big underlying factor when you talk about ice hockey. The Frölunda Chiefs will have a lot more speed, a lot more transition, a lot more depth, a lot more character to their style of play. Leksands is more straightforward. The depth and rotation isn't there for them. I feel that Frölunda has every edge of in the world in this matchup, which is why they're my pick. And I think this game's probably going to be like a 4-1 or a 4-2 for the home side here. I just don't really see where Leksands can get into it, unless Frölunda get caught sleeping and they eat a counter goal. It's about the only way I could see it going down, because I think Leksands is going to come up and put everybody in front of the Brainiac. Not really, I just like sport. And we're going to we'll be putting a good chunk of interest into this game. I'll be watching it. Don't get me wrong, I'll be watching it. And I think that Frölunda is going to get the bickies here 4-2 or 4-1, something along those lines, because their defence is hot and their offence is also pretty hot. Now we're going to go into the game. I tried to give everybody a bit of a tip on. It is Podolsk against Dynamo Riga. And I think it's going to be very hard for Dynamo Riga to win this one. It's a very tough matchup. I think it's going to be a dogfight, really. Non-quarantine versus quarantine. Yeah, you're pretty right on there, Jeremy, mate. Considering, though, that Dynamo Riga has 9 listed players in quarantine right now, and of the 9 listed players, 3 are key starting players and 2 are key defensive rotational players. That's a lot of talent to lose. Podolsk have 1 injury. The odds, I would have been expecting this to be something like $1.30, $1.40 3-way for Podolsk, but it's 2 plus. That just shows how bad of a side Podolsk is. But it's saying that Podolsk are actually doing pretty well as of now. Normally Podolsk are a very low table, low finishing kind of side. They don't tend to win much. They tend to get the odd upset maybe once or twice a season. They're like a filler team. And just based off the injury list and I think the lack of key talent that Dynamo Riga will be bringing, Podolsk is the pick here. The only way I can look at this game is if you have it set up like that, and it's very hard to see a place where that does not happen. It really is atlas. Sorry about the clicking noise there, guys. I'm just flicking through some of my notes while I'm talking to you, so feel free to chatter on about that. The next game we're going to be looking at here is the Chicago Bears against the Colts. We're talking about a Super Bowl winner against a 16-year veteran that's an absolute collapse machine. If we're talking about somebody who can make children, then Philip Rivers would have a million Super Bowl rings by now. But we're not talking about your ability to make kids. We're talking about your ability to win football games, and Philip Rivers just doesn't have it. He's not got that killer instinct. He's too much of a whiny child that's never really matured and developed that football IQ or football acumen that you need to win games. The Bears have a strong defence which is going to frustrate Rivers. Rivers lost a couple of key offensive pieces, and a defensive piece for the Colts happened not last week but the week before, and we saw kind of what the Colts would bring the following week after the injuries. With that said, based off injuries and the fact that you just can't trust Philip Rivers to do anything properly, the Chicago Bears here, that's my pick, the Bears. So the Bears are going to be starting Foles under centre, a Super Bowl winner who just has a massive chip on his shoulder right now because the Bears decided they would start Trubisky over him. Trubisky had a shocker against the Falcons and he got pulled. Then Foles came in and just sort of made the Falcons do what the Falcons do, and that's blow leads. So a 20-0 fourth quarter comeback from 20, that was the final score of how many points were scored in the fourth quarter. That was 20 points for the Bears and 0 for the Falcons. It is unbelievable the amount of shitness that the Falcons put in every week. It's truly astounding. They are a elite side at being trash when you don't want them to be trash. So the Bears are my play, trusting the arm of Napoleon Dynamite there. The next one, we're looking at the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Jaguars here, and you have a very, very hungry Joe Burrows who should have got his first win last week but ended up drawing with the Philadelphia Eagles. In overtime, 23 apiece. Burrows looked very good. He's finally building some chemistry with T. Higgins. T. Higgins is a speed machine. I think they will get him involved a lot more against this slow secondary from the Jaguars. I think Minshew, if he doesn't get Chark back, will struggle again. They don't really have a great running back situation either. So it's basically going to be all on the arm of Minshew. Well, I think Minshew's a very under-the-radar type of quarterback. He's got a very tall order against him here, and the Bengals, they don't have a great defense. So it does give a bit of leeway to Minshew, but I think overall the Bengals have the better side, and that's where my pick has gone this week. I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals, who are currently, I think they're a little bit on outside value. So I'll be sticking here with the Bengals just because of the mentioned factors. So now we're going to move into the Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Buffalo Bills, who almost choked hardcore last week. They almost lost in the dying seconds of the game to the Rams after being up 28-3 at one point and then being down 32-28. It was almost a week of double conundrums on choking last week. But my pick this week for this one, I am actually going to be sticking here with the Bills. I think Josh Allen is the better quarterback situation. I think the Bills have the better defense. I think the Bills have the better weaponry on offense as well. I think the Vegas Raiders might get the rub of the green from the officials. It is going to be the Bills' first trip to the new stadium, and it's always, and the Raiders tend to lift when they play at home because they have a very loud fan base. So right now we're talking about a top side here in the Bills who are going to be competing for the postseason here. They have everything going for them. And I just, as much as I like Joe Gruden and what he's doing right there for the Raiders right now, I think Chucky's got it cut out for him here, and the Bills are going to be too much. He just doesn't have the same weaponry or artillery that the Bills can push up. And the acquisition that the Bills did to get Stephon Diggs was huge. It's really given Josh Allen that one person he can rely on his offense. That's really evolved the Bills' offense. So they're a real dangerous side this year, and that's where my pick is there this week. It's with the Bills. If we're going to look at the last game on the board, I think this is the toughest one on the board. It is the toughest. You have two sides coming in off two big EFL performances. The Spurs with the comeback win on Chelsea. They beat them on penalties after being down 1-0 for a good 80 to 85% of the game. Manchester United coming in off that big 3-0 win, I believe it was, in the EFL. And now Manchester United at home. A lot to prove because Ole Football is the new hashtag at the moment on Twitter. I mean, that 22 pass, 12 second goal that they scored, that was really nice. And I think a young Mason Greenwood, who's had his birthday, I think it's today, he's going to be fired up for this one this weekend. They're going to be looking to get on the board fast, quick and early. They are a very good side. Their defence as well, like Chelsea, is the sore point. Tottenham should have Bale on the field by now, by this game. Don't quote me on that. You might be wanting to play golf instead, who knows? But for me, I'm sticking with the home side here. I'm taking the Devils here. I think they're going to get themselves back on track here. It's a very tough game to try and go against a side like Man U, who are a little bit wounded, a little bit pride shattered. They have a lot of challenges ahead of them. Tottenham are a interesting side. They can play either really good or really bad, and it's really dependent on the side that we see. United easy? Oh, I don't think so, Atlas. You're saying 3-1 United. You know what? If it comes in 3-1 for United, mate, I will double all the correct answers you get for the week. So that could be your winning point there if you get it right. So if you can hit the 3-1 there for United, you've probably won the board. Easy. All right, dude. I'll take your word for it. But yeah, we've gotten in some good picks here this week. Broken down a few picks from everybody. We've been going for a good, solid, almost 50 minutes here now, guys, for this episode of the Thursday Throwdown. We have all our picks on the board. I've broken down each one that I like, why I like them, why I think it's going to be a struggle for some. I send much love and thanks to everybody who has tuned in today. We peaked out here at 30 individual sets of eyes and ears, which is pretty impressive for me. I love having you all here. Be prepared for the Tuesday Towdown where we announce our winner of the $10 giveaway. Be sure to tune in. All right. That's Fade out, guys. Peace. Hey everybody, my name's The Fade. Thanks for tuning into this YouTube channel. I stream weekly on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheFade with a 4 and a 3. Weekdays Monday to Friday, 9:30am to 5pm CET. Be sure to drop by the stream and give it a look.